Hi there, this is Vinamra Kasana. Welcome to Dostcast Clips. This is my shameless attempt at having you click on many clips until you're forced to watch the entire podcast. Subscribe and enjoy.
There are 100,000 ways to construct a balanced meal. There is no one single way to do this, right? But in a sense, it's actually possible for me to say, take a look at a North Indian thali, and a professional nutritionist would be able to say, you know what, add a little bit more paneer, cut down on one paratha, and little bit more dal, more vegetables, and so on. And that can be made into a relatively balanced meal, right? And again, I can look at a South Indian meal and say, even a South Indian vegetarian meal is even worse, okay? Because they wouldn't even have paneer. Okay? So basically, it's even more lacking in protein. There, I think unfortunately, the only protein they will eat is the yogurt. Okay? So let's say nutrition will say add a little bit more yogurt and so on. But please also consider adding. So, for example, in my son's school, the school cooks the meal, and because it's a mixed kid, so it has to be vegetarian and so on. So they basically add soya chunks. So that's the only way to sort of get the kids the protein they need. And actually, soya is actually a very, very good, high quality plant source of protein. And people have all kinds of misconceptions simply because we're not used to it. But the entire East and Southeast Asia eat soy every day, and all of this stupid nonsense about it will reduce your testosterone. Boss, have you seen the population there? Do you think it has had any effect on their ability to produce testosterone?
I think it's mostly the meat-based community that is very anti-soya.
Anti-soy and so on, right? The soy boy and all. But
anyway,
I think, as I said, you can look at every meal and figure out whether it can be improved from a balanced standpoint. As a general rule, I think if I take a lower middle class South Indian or East Indian or a Northeast meal, it is starting from a better place. Let's just say that, right? And again, also remember that 70% of the calories in paneer are fat, not protein. Let's be clear. It has a lot of protein, but you can't just get the protein. Okay, so you're going to get a lot of fat also. So, which kind of brings me to this other point that you mentioned, that the problem with also fats, right? With problem with nutritionists or the WHO and everyone else saying saturated fat, you must keep it down to 10% of your calories and so on, is that it is very hard to make any universal claim that this thing is bad for you, this thing is good for you.
Right.
Because there are genetic components to that. One of the side effects clearly of 20,000 years of being around cows and drinking or eating all the makhan you can and all the ghee you can, etc., clearly has given some people the ability to deal with saturated fats far better than other people. So you can slather one layer of makhan. And, I remember I go to Chandigarh a while back, and these two, large Sikh gentlemen came and ordered a paratha, aloo paratha in the morning. And then they said, Chotu, idhar aa, and then they gave him some money to go buy 100-gram packet of Amul butter from nearby, right? And that guy melted that entire 100-gram pack on
one paratha.
Aloo paratha, and there were two parathas. They kind of shared it. Two gentlemen shared it. So it was like 50 grams each. It was still, for me, it was like, man, I've grown up being told that you should not eat this much fat, clearly, right? And these guys clearly seem to have had no effect on them at all, right? So my point is that different people have different abilities to tolerate these things. So there are people in many parts of India, if they consume a little bit more ghee, their lipid profile goes for a toss. Right? They'll suddenly, their doctor will say, hey, you have to cut down, you have to, etc., right? But in general, what I feel is that different people have different tolerances to different kinds of fats and also overarching amount of fat. So, for example, there are people, the carnivore diet people in general, do not seem to get heart trouble despite eating a very high fat meat, because most of red meat is a lot of fat, right? And saturated fat, right? And like people in Kerala, coconut oil is mostly saturated. You know what? Coconut oil is more saturated fat than ghee.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's 85% saturated fat. Your ghee and all is like some 50-60%.
Yeah. I also eat a mostly animal-based diet. I eat mutton kebabs in the day, and I eat a keema at night. And in the middle, I will munch, like if I'll have one day a week, I'll have a roti or some chawal if I want. But I mostly eat meat, and I'm just fine. I feel perfectly fine.
As I said, so people have got to test themselves. People have got to feel good.
Yeah.
You've got to generally be able to see, I think the best definition of, healthy food and or health in general is not a six pack. It's not visible muscles. It's not all of that. being healthy is being able to have the freedom to do whatever you want to do.
If you like this clip, I bet you will love the full podcast. Check it out on the Dostcast YouTube channel.